We have so much different and so much same. Is there a phrase for that?
So what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, this is the same animal, right? But a different beast.
Oh, completely. 5 pounds of boost in this car is like a lot of power. Just go over real quick all the bullet points of everything that has changed, and really it's all minor improvements. Where I guarantee one out of a million you guys are like, oh my god. But yeah, find the other car that looks like this so we can copy their settings. But we have the 94mm turbo. We have all of the drag slicks on there. We have all of the ceramic coating on this car finally. The new rear axles, the new clutch, the engine's completely refreshed just in case. I got my ignition system set to low, which is still 400 millijoules. Fuel Tech knocking out of the park on that one. All my steering linkage is all safer. It was already good, but I just made sure that we have plenty of thread and did all that. The fuel system should now finally support over 1,500 horsepower, so that should be super exciting there. We have EGTs on all 4 runners, so we now know more information about what's going on per rotor. Isaiah got all the heat shielding done, so that way we don't bake our front axles or front drive shaft. We also have the flywheel, which is, what was that? It's like 5 pounds less.
Yeah.
So we have no idea what that's going to be like. We have a flow control valve back on. Again, this is all stuff that we haven't done since we raced the Unicorn. So you drop the clutch, it slows it down. And then finally our Turbo Smart E-gate, the straight gate, we have coolant running to it because we do get pretty hot. With this turbo and that E-gate, it's going to be dial a boost. It's going to be incredible. I'm going to take it around the block. No boost pulls, but I'm going to try and see if I can get the turbo to kind of talk to me. I got to 0 PSI, and on the last run that was 0 point something PSI, but it took all of my being, almost as much self-control as it took at 7 stock back when we first fired it up. When you go to a super light flywheel, it forces you to be the best because everything's just like, aired out dirty laundry. I'm gonna go ahead and do what I'll consider a medium pull, just to see when the turbo starts coming online. We've only hit 0.2 pounds of boost, so I'm hoping to get like 2 to 5. 5 pounds of boost in this car is like a lot of power. Yeah, it is. Okay, here we go. The boost control to 10 PSI, and with the way Haltech works, 5 PSI below your target, it starts to like activate and everything's working perfectly. The turbo is coming online faster than I could have ever dreamed, which is great to keep it lower RPM as well. I have like all the way across the map, and I'm getting 3 pounds of boost with 5 pounds of back pressure, which was never the case before. Normally the back pressure was like spin the bigger wheel and then it would finally come online. It's not lag, it's just missized for what we're trying to do. 4,800 RPM is when the turbo is starting to like build boost. So it's not like the rotary vet lower, but the rotary vet has torque at 4,200 RPM. This thing I can guarantee at 5,000 RPM we could almost be at full boost. Shit's bonkers. This last week has been absolutely insane, between trapping 160 miles an hour and fulfilling all of the insane number of orders. It's kind of a bittersweet moment where I love this hat so much, but it hides my hair from being shown. And then the same problem here is that I've got a helmet. Thanks to Keeps, I do have helmet hair that is still hair when I take the helmet off. Hopefully it looks good even then, but I am very thankful for Keeps, as I have been for many years now. Keeps focuses on not only regrowing hair, but also preventing the hair loss that happens as people like myself age. 2 out of every 3 men experience male pattern baldness by the age of 35, and I'm just shy of 40. Sure enough, it was already affecting me and my 2 brothers. Thanks to Keeps, I was spared. And being proactive, I don't have those huge lines thinning up here or the top one here. I did. Back in about 2015, 2016, if you watch the videos, my hair was thinning. Hair loss stops with Keeps. So if you want to be like me and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/RobDahm to get 50% off of your first order. That's KEEPS.com/RobDahm.
The carbon tube split from the inside of the spline. So I'm going to take out this axle. We're going to see exactly what's wrong with it, and it does not sound good. That thing is loud when you try to move the car. It has a lot of drag to it. I'm going to take this guy out. What's really cool is that it actually broke from the outer side of here. And you can see inside this hole in there, you see the metal. Normally when an axle breaks, it's all chaos, breaks loose, you know, but but this is so cool because this is the safest I've ever seen an axle break. If you didn't know any better, this would be good and you'll probably put those back in.
The reason this failed was not because of the carbon or how it was done. This actually failed because we were tightening them too much and the 300M axle stub broke first, but we had weakened the carbon. The metal part broke before the carbon part and we kept using the carbon part. We even tried spacing them because these things are way too short. We measured them wrong and we tried to make them work. And in fact, you may remember almost a year ago now, we made these washers to space them to try and get our length accordingly. So you can see the washers were designed to go on this side of these little axle stubs. And so they would sit on the face of the wheel bearing like that. Now that we broke one, time to fix it. We are going to add at least this much, which is what, a 1/4 inch, we'll measure for sure, to the lengths. Because even with rear axles, you'll notice something really cool about this. When you pull it, it stretches. They were at this limit plus. I want to try and get them in the center when the car is at ride height, and then they extend a little bit as the tire bounces up or down. These are currently 14 3/4 inches. I think we're going to extend them to probably 15, maybe even 15 1/4. This drivetrain process is actually a pretty complex thing, and it's a very messy thing, even when it's done right. Everything to this is a trick. Like when you break something on your car and you're like, man, I wonder how power gets to the wheels with all these moving parts, and shouldn't this just pull all the way out? It doesn't, and that is because you need a set of these. C-clips rule the automotive world in this case, and so if you look on this side, you can't pull this all the way out. Because that ring, if Isaiah was here, he'd say I should call her. That ring is held in with this piece here. Now, I'm not going to start there because once we start getting grease on your hands, it's over. So we're going to utilize where it came from, part of the solution here. So I'm going to have Joel step on the brakes.
Working?
Yeah, perfectly. I'm sure the Baja truck guys use this sort of trick. Because these are all off-road parts. So that way this thing can take some serious beating. I'm sure they've done even more creative things. Oh, well there you go, that wasn't holding on strong enough. So you do put a little bit of gasket on the outside edges, keeps that from spinning out. We need to take this off, but to take this off, we have to get to the C-clamp and then pull. Alright, there you go. Everything else looks good here. So we'll be reusing these stubs that we're going to cut the carbon off. There you go. There is just the half shaft or axle, what do you want to name it. This one's fine, even with all the torture we put it through. We're still going to have them both cut down because I don't want to chance this one being weakened from the doofistery that we've been doing earlier in the last 2 years. We've learned a lot. This is the broken one. You can see by the heat applied here from it spinning inside of there. You'd think it's still holding on a considerable amount, even though it's completely broken. It's impressive how well this works. This is one of my favorite safety features of these, with how custom and experimental our things are. If it breaks, it just slips inside it. Instead of binding up and then destroying everything else inside the car, this is one of my favorite features. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this one. What you're gonna notice about carbon is that it's directional. And when you see like a normal hood or whatever else, it's pretty much all different directions. This stuff is woven in a way to prevent torsion. And so what's funny to me is that they're actually very weak in other ways. Like you can crush them kind of easy. Like if we put this in a vise, it'll crush it very quickly. So you can see the bond sleeve inside of there. Yeah, it really does smell like JB oil. Some of the strands of the carbon themselves, they're all basically woven this way and this way on this. And there is the steel sleeve. It's not coming out. I was kind of hoping we'd have a win and be able to pull this one off, but it's almost a win for the carbon. So there are all 4 stubs. We're gonna go ahead and clean them up a little bit more, package them up, and ship them off to Wisconsin. But I will tell you guys right now, we've been in a lot of R&D with these, mostly development. The guys over the company that we're partnering with have done a lot of the research. And so these are steel, but they've got finally the opportunity to make these out of aluminum, so we really can shed a lot more weight. This phase, we're gonna keep them steel, and so the weight benefit of carbon is harder to notice because the tips are heavy again, right? If you look at my main rear drive shaft, that was one of the first pieces they did with carbon and aluminum, and oh my God, that thing is light, and that's transmitting all the torque to all 4 of these. So it's really impressive to see what's potential for losing a lot of weight on the whole drivetrain in the 4-rotor. We just got back the most critical part of this entire puzzle, and I am excited because everything else is just icing on the cake at this point. The rear axles have been upgraded, and Composite Drivelines has done an amazing job, and they're actually doing me some huge favors with these. We haven't gotten too far into the technical details of these, but what they've come up with, since we've originally worked with them, they took it a step further and said, well, we have even nicer carbon that can handle even more and do more of what you want. We have used the shit out of these in the wrong ways, but look at that.
That's sick.
Yeah, these guys are amazing. You check them out on Instagram, online, all different places. We've been testing these and they've been doing amazing. And the 300M axle stubs broke before the carbon did. Now we also extended them about 3/4 of an inch to help them get in the center of the stub axle and CV joint. They are the correct length now, and they are ready to be reinstalled. Where the front ones are super high angle. We don't rear steering, so these don't need to angle as much. The process is way too sexual. Okay, so we are now, I'm just making sure that that inner lip is right there. There we go. So that looks fairly good. I honestly don't know how much to put in, because if you do too little, the parts can overheat, not just have problems with lubrication. Too much, I'm sure, just like overfilling a diff, there's problems with that as well. So this is where I'm going to put the gasket maker, push that in there. If you're a mechanic, you can already see 10 different ways that this is horrible. Thankfully, I am my own customer, and I'm okay with the shit quality job right now. We just need to get it back together. Plop it on like so. This is the outer one, so this goes inside of the wheel bearing. And you can see, like I was saying earlier, that's all that travel that they were previously at max on both sides. Now they're gonna sit hopefully somewhere in the middle. Cause look, I mean, I think this ends up being like 3/4 of an inch, and the other one's over 1/2 inch. So adding a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch puts you right in the middle. All of this stuff is 934 CV joints. The guy that built the Unicorn, Ian Stewart from ASD, was like, hey, 930s all the way around the car. And we have 930s in the front, but I'm like, I'm going to launch the absolute living shit out of this car. What's bigger than that? And then all the guys out here that are rock crawlers like 934s, and that's where the big money came into play on doing all this. But I think that added a little bit of unnecessary weight, just a little bit. But of course, when you don't know what you know now, back then, what if you got the wrong size and it just snapped on your first launch? That'd be horrible. The Winner's quick change, the snap rings for its little stubs are actually inside of the diff. That's why you don't see the other part of this, because there's a stub in here in the diff, and on the front diff, the BMW diff, that snap ring is soft enough to pull them out. You cannot do that on the 934 attachment for this one. It is hardcore locked on the inside.
We've tried.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I knew that, and the guys didn't, and Isaiah was trying to pry the shit out of it, and I realized I heard banging when I shouldn't have. Check this out. These are the same Mickey Thompson's last used racing Ken. That's bittersweet for all the obvious reasons, but I've transferred them to the Forge Star bead lock. So that, as you saw back when we raced the Unicorn, the line we made on these and the pressure we ran was surprisingly high, but they still slipped on the rim. So now we can run even lower pressure, and this ring, this beautiful like aluminum machined out ring with all these little bolts, will hold the lip, the bead of the tire. So we can run these very, very low, especially because we're going to be on a drag strip, a prep surface, which is new for us. I would grenade this car in a second, wheel hop or whatever, because these are not bias plies. In fact, I think that's actually be a lot of people's problems, and they're not even ready for that. In our case, we've got the softest radial that we can do by reducing the pressure and launching much softer with a rim that will hold onto it. And I literally mean rim, because that is the rim, that is the lip, the rim of these things. These are nuts, and I cannot wait to put them on.
I'm ready to show you guys one of the fattest things we've ever done. We got these bead locks on here with these super, super fat tires, and finally about to set it down. Look at this, look at this.
That's mean.
Oh, that's like perfect too. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh my God.
Wow.
Jeez. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, that's not gonna rub.
It's like actually like almost experiencing the filthiest bass drop you have ever heard in your life. We've had these in boxes for far too long, but these are the Forge Star bead locks with our Mickey Thompson ET Street R's that we used many moons ago. And they are the 325s. I was out with Cadillac doing that whole thing with the Daytona 24, but these are incredible wheels. And it's nice to see that when Rich was here helping us get these fenders initially lined up, and we made sure that they were right for all sets of wheels. We might raise the car up a little bit so it can squat and hook, but you know that we're gonna be dropping tire pressure like we were before, so that way we just have as much safety in the drivetrain as possible. With safety comes grip. It makes the brakes look better. It makes everything look better. It's just ridiculous. But that wasn't why I came over here. I didn't even know that these were done. I wanted to show you guys, because I heard that you guys got the axles put in. This is a good sign for us to see that both of the rear axle joints, the CV joints, neither of them are in full extension or compression. As you know that those joints can expand and contract. Well, if either one of them was pulled to the extreme, you wouldn't be able to shift one in further and the other one out further. And that shows you that we got the length much better, and that gives you that room for it to articulate an accordion as needed. With the suspension that we have, which is insanely wide, there is not a single tie rod really on the market that can do that. And so we end up having these weird looking extendo pieces. Problem is that they're only meant to do so much. And so my biggest fear with this car has always been steering. We've been very careful with everything, and so far it's been good. Now this is a custom piece, and with that, it's got a little bit of play, just a little bit. The more threads, the better. But the one thing about this is reverse thread, this is normal thread. I wanted to make sure that when we go to do this, I want to make sure that one side wasn't like that, and off comes the steering because it was so close, while the other side was, say, deep in there. So I marked both sides on the one that's in there right now, so we'll have this much thread on both sides. So if we have to tow it out, both sides only lose that couple extra threads. If we have to tow it in more, both sides gain safety threads. But this is how much thread is inside of this piece on both sides at this point. We're gonna be doing some changes to the steering in the future. I've already made it tighter, which was great for the track stuff this year, but it's not tight enough. And what that means is you see me look like an ultra beginner, not just a beginner, but an ultra beginner, by having to take my hands off the wheel mid-turn. But that's absolutely necessary if your steering rack is as loose or as slow as mine is. You have to get the wheel many more times spun to just get it over a turn. You can fix that by moving this closer to the center of the wheel, and I can't do that without a lot of modification. So our uprights and all of our suspensions can get some really beautiful upgrades now that we've learned so much, but for now, it's all about safety. Well, we're gonna get these threads, this piece down to the lock nut here, the jam nut. And then we'll do the same thing here. So now, when I hold on to the arm right here, and I rotate this, it'll go in and out of threads on both sides. The tricky part is that this can rotate, right? So like like that. So if you just grab this and start spinning on one side, you're actually going to be spinning this, and the threads are only coming out on one side, so very dangerous there. A lot has changed in the last shot from now, and they are all really wild, good things that you guys would want to see. And I wasn't ready to do it, but it is time. When I looked at the logs this morning while I was working on the whole anti-roll bar, basically making the car handle like a track car as quick as possible, I realized two things. One is that I'm going to be throwing a lot of good money after bad, which is it's not the ideal setup. It's not the ideal geometry. I still have falling rate suspension. Basically, as the car turns, it gets softer. And so I've got a lot of things working against me. So I was like, I could spend $3,000 just to maybe half-ass something, or we can look at another way of solving the same problem. So this right here solved a lot of problems in the back of the 3-rotor. There is no wing in the rear of the 4-rotor. The interesting thing is that when you look at the car cornering at PPIR or IMI or any of the racetracks at all, it's the rear that starts letting go. So one huge thing that I've made a mistake on for years is that roll bars, and I've known this for the last couple weeks at least, thankfully, roll bars do not change weight transfer. Weight transfer is simply earth tugging you down and gravity and all of your forces of the tires and the car and everything pulling you outward. Really, it's inward, but centripetal, centrifugal. The point is that you can imagine if I'm turning that way, if I'm turning left, there is a person grabbing onto the center of mass of this car and pulling it. If it's a 3,000-pound car, 3,000 pounds is 1 G-force. So that never changes. Roll bars don't magically change that. All they do is they change how much the body rolls in response. And the body roll is a sometimes desirable, mostly undesirable bonus or feature, but the most important thing, you can't change how much weight goes to the outer tire. So what you can do is put more weight on the car 2 ways. One is by physically adding more weight, and 2, by adding a wing, adding weight that comes from the form of air. So we have so much downforce in the front of the car because we have the front splitter, we have all the flat bottom, all this sort of stuff is working so well that even though we were on drag tires in the front of the car back in Colorado, it was the track tires that were letting go. I think it's time that we put a wing on this car, removably of course, so that way when we go to the track, it's the biggest, broadest brush stroke we can make, and it's gonna hold this car down and me in it. And I'm gonna have to get used to pulling more than 1.5 Gs, which is something I've never done. This is the first 50 orders. Erica's over there helping. She's the reason that this is at any sort of organization or consistency, thanks to her. So we are going to start unboxing the hoodies, the shirts, and the posters. The whole shop is basically being taken up for this. The 4-rotor only gets this little corner back there, but that's okay. So we're gonna go ahead and start undoing these. We now have the boxes organized off the pallets, and these are all just the hoodies. They take up a lot of space. And because these are all the Patreon orders, we have the last of the unicorn blood, and we have the first 50 medallions, as well as a couple more ready to go. So what we're gonna do is sign the first 50 posters, Isaiah and I. These are, again, for Patreon, and then I'll sign the rest for everybody else.
She wanted to come out and sign some shirts with us. She's not really a camera, but she's here in spirit.
Aww.
Little
He just wants
baby.
to cuddle.
Yeah, all's cuddles. Okay, now I'm getting jealous.
Very, very important this moment. We have Erica helping us out, which actually helps us out a lot because I could continue working while the rest of this goes on. This picture actually means a lot to me as far as the car. Look how good the car looks, California, the California dream for Rob. I mean, I lived out here forever, but the palm trees are, iconic, and he comes from Michigan, and we all see how it is over there.
And it's not easy to make it in California. That's part of the thing about California is that you come out here, you get your shit kicked in, and you go back home. And that
literally almost happened.
That happened twice.
100% grateful to everybody out there for the support. We would definitely not be here without you guys.
Yeah.
And let's sign these and send them on their way. I wish I had a nice signature.
I like how ours are different though.
Have a special request?
Special request. This is from a very dear friend of mine, Jake. We've got one large shirt and one large hoodie. This is, if I may recommend, it's a excellent vintage.
Hey, dude. I know this is a lot to ask, but can I do you some cash for a shirt or a sweater this time? I missed out on the hoodie, so
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
No, give me a sweater because they're all gonna see me working in my shirt. They're gonna be upset again.
Best I can do is.
I
guess I'll give you that.
No, I want to give me a good shirt.
I'm not giving you shit. Your money's no good here.
So I didn't put this fender on because first of all the heat and everything like that, and I also needed to put the hood latches on. I don't think I really touched much up on this, but Rob wasn't here the other day, and I remember long ago when we were talking about it, he wanted them up here. So at the beginning of the week, I was panicking because I was like, I could put them up here, but they're going to be ugly. And the second best option was back over here near the stuff that I already have, kind of for the headlights and stuff like that. Now I did that very, very last second before we did the all-wheel drive burnout. So sadly, not a lot of thought was put into that, but that's what we have to build on. When he got back, he was like, "Oh no, I wanted to put them right here," and I was like, "You dickhead! No, you didn't." But with the way the hood is, this has more than enough meat to drill through it, put a nut stud or thread or whatever the case is. This is pretty thick, and Nelson told me that I could, do that. So this right here, this little landing spot, this little flat spot, is where I want to put the hook. Over here, you can see it's really super, super tight. And with the way these are made, it has to be at an angle. Sometimes when you're doing stuff like this, you gotta cut something up, some scrap or whatever you have laying around, and bend, move, and sometimes you get lucky and it comes out, like this. Before I actually tack this into place, what I have to do is I have to drill the holes right here. And what I want to do is I want to put the nuts on there so that way I don't have to mess with, a nut and double-sided and wrench and all that weird stuff.
Isaiah swears to me that he's got interesting things, and I'm not sold.
So I just welded this stuff on here. I don't know if you can see if it's welded.
No, it looks like trash.
Yeah, honestly, it's really not the best, but we get what we get. The scary part, because it is carbon, and I did call Steven Nelson and asked him how to do it properly. He said rib nuts would probably be the best. I went in and I got some nice ones. Look at that. That's nice, It's not going anywhere. And then
wow, that's
they're not even rib nutted in yet. They're in place. That's how perfect.
Okay, I'm gonna go from this side because I want to.
Okay, go for it.
Ooh,
What's that?
that's like an OEM hood. Okay.
Yeah. That's.
And it's all to try to pull it up a little bit from not like crazy, but
yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah? You want to pull the lever, Kronk?
I'm gonna pretend I'm wind first.
Okay, yeah, you can pretend you're winning all you want.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really going anywhere. pretend it's wrong,
Ooh.
That's solid.
Ooh. It looks good too.
I haven't even tried to do that.
Okay. That means business. That was my
That's
dream.
a satisfying
that was
noise.
Very satisfying. Okay, I'm gonna just
Try it.
am I gonna do it? Okay. No, I can't do it. Ooh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
nice.
Am I allowed to ask where that goes?
Well.
If you want to ruin the moment, yeah.
This is based off of a C5. Knowing that the length of that cable setup, I just figured we'll reach into the wheel well. So it looks like I've taken up surfing when that is not the case. Battle Arrow came in clutch at the last second for that little twist we were talking about, the rear wing. And so we know that the rear of the car is lifting harder than the front, so we might as well use physics to our advantage. So something like that. Look it up.
That's pretty much the width of the car, almost,
74
right?
inches wide. It's super light. I believe at this size of a wing, at about 80 miles an hour, we should be able to generate another 50 pounds of downforce and up to 120 or so, maybe up to 150 pounds of downforce. So just with all the other suspension issues that we have going on, let's just push the car down more on the track. What's particularly exciting as we go to unbox this is that Joel got to watch them build it and get everything assembled for us all last second. That's what people don't see.
I think that's one of the cool parts about being in LA, because I know if Rob was back home in Michigan, this would not have been able to happen. Very grateful to have good friends and good companies all nearby us so that we could get something like this, you know, last minute and fast. Oh wow, this thing's huge.
Yeah, it'll be something like. Mind you, I'm not doing that. That's not me. It'll be something.
That's crazy.
Like this. Right off the roof.
You said you wanted the biggest one.
I got what I asked for, and this will hold the rear of the car down.
So Joe doesn't know how to open one of these, so I told him I'll teach him. Not really hard. You just gotta, you know, be 10% smarter than the barrel. So
that was easy.
Pop that guy off.
Yeah, this is the part that I never.
Normally you get in here with the pry bar. I have it there, and I'm grabbing right here. And we're showing you guys this because. Oh, that smells good. We're showing you guys this because we have something really, really cool. And this is going to make mine and Joel's life a whole lot easier, because filling up is kind of a pain in the ass.
Every so often companies send me products or offer to send me products. I was just sent these, and I have no idea if they're good or not, but the concept's great. An electric drum pump. No, electricity and fuel normally doesn't mix, but in this case, I think that will work out well.
I wonder, does this extend to this?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it goes all the way down.
Oh, yeah, it's a telescoping thing right here.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, nice.
And I like that. It's got a nice little screen for big shit at the bottom. I was just about to check that. Step one is this. Oh, so it just sits there like this, right? And then you press and hold this.
Oh, wow. It's a lot.
Pretty good flow.
We got a gas station.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Wow, that's a lot more than I was expecting.
Do you want me actually to fill you up?
Yeah. We are in the 11th hour, but that's literally 11 o'clock at night. And we just got the front bumper on. This is the first time I've seen the whole car with the good wheels on and it looking like an entire car. That's just nuts. Lethal. Last time it looked this good with those wheels was, well, never. But I got some little bit of suspension stuff to do, so I've got to take the springs off. We bought helper springs from Swift. Same thing we did on the 3-rotor, right? But this would really, really need them to allow us to run the stiffer springs. Now, it might hurt me a little bit on the launch, but we opened the shocks up all the way, and I think it'll be okay. Haltech released, right at the same time I started doing all this, they released an Attribution control system. And I'm not hacking it, but I'm using it to my advantage. So, you see I have the paddle shifters on there. Go ahead and turn this on. And you heard it, all-wheel drive's on. Now, light's not going to change, but listen to this. It's not, there's two clicks going on. There's a click in there. And so I have, there you go, I guarantee you guys heard that. I have line lock working off of this, but I have the Tesla unit on the Haltech thinking that this is a handbrake. And it kind of is a handbrake because it's literally going to be brakes and then holding this. And do you hear, I don't know if you guys can't hear it, but the hum of the all-wheel drive system is gone. So when I let go of this, we have all-wheel drive disabling, we have the line lock kicking in, everything is just all working together. So I just press the pedal, hold this in, let go of the pedal, do whatever I want. We're doing a burnout, and then let go, and then we have hot, heated up rear tires. That's
super exciting. I don't have to like go through a sequence. That's my safest part about this. And furthermore, watch this. Where did they go? The wires are right in the center, like the Indy car and all those sort of things. So I can just put this back on, and there you go. Isn't that nuts? That's probably my finest accomplishment today, at least. So no wires in the way, and I used the clock spring from the FD hidden in here. So when you turn, it's this whole assembly right in there. So watch what happens when we lift the car up from this position. So everything's looking good. Fine. There you go. And so, what you're seeing, tire hasn't even left the ground yet. Springs are not happy. With the tire just gently touching the ground, it's no longer having this actually hold it up or down. So when you get the right height, all this just becomes super easy to remove. There's the rear shock. We're going to pull these all the way down, put the helper spring on, and you can see,
Fix that.
hopefully it does. This is so easy how these come apart.
Whoa.
Yeah. That is a very impressive design. Threads are all looking safe. I don't have any room to bump stop tune. We have these bad boys. If you don't use these, the spring end will start destroying the plastic. This on first, and then the divider piece. Oh, it's so close. Look at that. There'd be that fear that you'd have to go even further back, but because as soon as we set the car down, we're going to travel quite a bit. So I'm not too worried about that. Put this guy on. Put that back on. It's kind of crazy to think your whole car is sitting up on that.
What?
And there you go.
That's so sick.
So I'm a little hazy, but I recall this might be a problem and causing us some heartache. So we're going to go ahead and actually drop the car back down because the other ones are just not bolted in, but we'll see how far this side is off. Here we go. Actually pretty close.
Hey. I'd say you're okay.
If anything, that's lower. So what I'm looking at is the height of this one, that one. So this side of the car should be, let's look at the wheels. That's an excellent sign. So what that means is that at full, like we can't make the shock longer with those helper springs, but that's a good sign. I get interrupted, baby kitty. That's a good sign because that's resting height with the helper spring, meaning that we need to compress it a little bit more. So. All right.
And nobody knows where it's at but me, so.
Wow,
Isn't that nice?
that is so nice.
Put it back on.
I love how they hit at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, that is clean.
And the pop-up is nice.
It feels right. It feels
It
OEM-ish.
This car's funny because you always feel like panicked and everything's like off, but then you put like the body pan and everything, you're like, oh, okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit it with the God. It's a little squat right now because of the helper spring. I have to tighten that up, but that's what it's gonna kind of look like when it's
Launching.
squatting. That does it for me, big time. And even the meaty fronts, all of this does it for me, big time.
We just got the hood on, front end on. All that's left to do is everything, and then we'll be done.
It's kind of weird. This is actually the night before the night before. It's not tomorrow. We're not going.
The night before the dyno.
Yeah. So this is the night before the dyno. I was getting to that, Joel. Important point is that this isn't the hey, in 4 hours we're packing up and going to competition. We're actually going out to Vegas and then taking off our bras, relaxing a little bit, and then going to the dyno, calibrating this thing, seeing what the hell this thing's capable of doing. And that by itself, normally that's a whole run-up, right? But no, that's just the beginning of the next series of videos. This is the morning of the dyno, and we have some of the craziest progress. It's all Isaiah. I got my beauty sleep, but I want you guys to see this.
All right.
This is the very first moment of seeing it from here.
Put it at the highest angle, right?
Yeah.
At highest angle, we'll just
be obnoxious. We have the power to run it. We don't have any of the bottom parts, all the side skirts and front splitter. We don't have any of that on there.
Yeah.
Holy shit. It's gonna be effective.
That bird's excited, and we're excited. If I was going to put these
Like
on,
that. Yeah?
something like that, I mean, it kind of makes sense.
It's a good vibe.
The whole point is that the whole
To keep air in.
The
I was just
yeah.
about to ask. Maybe it's that one.
well, that looks weird.
Flip it.
So it's
Flip it up, but then flip it like this.
Where is it?
Up and not that way. Flip it like that.
oh, you're doing this way.
That looks better.
Let's see. That bird's going crazy. Yeah, that looks right. Yeah. This is just gonna make this car look so big.
A little birdie told me that we're gonna have a good week.
He's so excited. What a random. It's like that fake thing at the mall that makes all the noise so birds don't hear it.
He's got a good range.
Yeah. As soon as Joel turned away.
Yeah, I understand.
If you guys can hear that, that bird's going nuts, and I've never heard that bird before.
Jeez, that's badass.
That is.
I don't know if it's supposed to be flipped like that, but it's badass.
What do you know?
Not much.
I think they are designed to go down.
Yeah. Cause see that one's like that too, the ARP one. That makes more Hot Boy sense to me.
Yeah, that makes more Hot Boy sense, but that's not the point.
I don't know what the point is anymore.
That ass.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah, that's what we got.
Oh, we still got to put the diffuser on
Yeah,
too.
that's what I'm
gonna
saying.
look-
So I kind of said it earlier, but this is without all the ground effect aero, all the diffuser, which is now no longer as wide as it needs to be. It needs to be wider. The side skirts and then the front splitter, which is the whole reason for the rear wing. If we have the front splitter holding the front down, the rear's floating a little bit. So there you go. That's the largest wing that they can make, and our car's still a little bit wider.
We become men today, you know?
Yeah, I want to point out this isn't ours. We rented it and we paid for it.
No, I was gonna flex.
No.
I was gonna fake flex.
We paid $680, I think, for a couple days of renting this. So it's not cheap, but it's also worth keeping a car protected. So this is our first time of having an enclosed trailer ever,
Yeah.
other than somebody else helping us move a car. We can bring a whole 55-gallon drum. We can bring the car and then miscellaneous tools and stuff like that without them flying around inside of here.
Let's check it out.
Yeah, this is
Hop
exciting.
in.
Hop on in my crib, guys.
He did say that it is 84 inches wide right there, and we're 80 inches wide, so it'd be a tight fit, but.
Yeah, we're gonna need our ramps.
You've gotten all the shocks done, all the helper springs, everything, and so what we're doing right now is getting ready to take it out and load it up into the trailer. So enjoy as you ride along with me. Let's see how good my start is. That is just nuts looking. We are taking about 20 gallons of our 1-ethanol R, which is what the 4-rotor drinks exclusively. We purposely transferred that into this one so that way it's bottom heavy and we find an easy way to keep it safe in there. I don't want the fuel hitting the car, I just want the car using the fuel. Gotta fix the belt. The belt is rattling like it used to, and so we just have to tighten that. But you can hear it. So when I was driving it, you hear that it was the belt bouncing off of this. That little bit of pressure on this belt makes a big difference, especially when the alternators go into full power. We used to think it was the oil pump. Now we know for sure it's not the oil pump at all, especially since I reduced that back pressure on it. So it's the alternator when it says, oh, shit, I need to charge.
You okay? So, enclosed trailers have their drawbacks.
I'm so sorry. I just realized you were stuck in here. Oh, dude,
That's not how I want to die.
that hit all at once, dude. That was not like
The car's not warmed up, so it's rich.
Oh, dude, you look
So it's
bad.
oh my god! I just got drunk through my eyes in my lungs.
My eyes are watering.
I don't think we can drive the truck. I think we're gonna register.
Dude, that hit all at once.
Yeah, it was just like
oh,
it was.
Dude,
Oh.
you look stoned.
Oh my god, that went. You know, I think it was as soon as the exhaust passed this.
Yeah.
It just. Yeah.
Jeez.
We did it though.
Yeah.
We did it. I don't know if I'm about an enclosed trailer anymore.
Yeah, me either.
Oh my god.
Something told me to stay outside.